Good afternoon. I am Shivani. This is Jennifer, Mark, and our amazing mentor, Dr. Epstein. We present to you the G project. The objective of this project is to create new physics experiments to replace the old ones to be performed in first semester physics classes, and to write a manual for them. The first experiment that we'll be replacing is uniformly accelerated motion, measurement of G, gravity. The old one, it has been performed using the spark timer apparatus, which the last one became non-functional as of this year. Next, please. This is one of the pictures we took in the beginning weeks for the early trials we did. We basically recorded slow motion videos of different balls dropped from a height of about 2 meters and imported them to this Pascal capstone software to analyze them. As you see right here, this are the red plus marks are the positions of the balls every 5 frame as the ball is falling. And using this data, we created the graph of position versus time and velocity versus time. The velocity versus time, which will eventually give us the acceleration value. As you see right here, the slope of the velocity versus time is 9.74. That was for one of the golf ball trials that we did, and it came out really close to the acceleration, to the accepted value, which is 9.81. Notice that the software uses the meter stick from the recorded video to calibrate the scale of the length scale. This is another trial we did for the steel ball, and we got the value of 9.83 meters per second squared.
So throughout the trials that we took, we wanted to test out a lot more with varying balls and varying masses. What we found actually was that the accelerations from these trials did not match up. Some balls were actually purported to have a higher higher acceleration than intended. For example, a steel ball compared to a ping pong ball, we would expect that a steel ball would have an acceleration closer to negative 9.8. However, this wasn't the case in some of the trials. Upon further examination, some of the videos, the ball actually dropped in front or behind the meter stick, which acts as the scale. This actually caused a discrepancy in distance and displacement. So to further test this hypothesis out, we created an apparatus where we basically marked distances, 10 centimeter distances in front and behind the meter stick, and as well as in line with the meter stick, to test out a pronounced effect of dropping the ball in front of the meter stick and behind the meter stick. This is just a clarification of what we thought was happening in the program. Basically, this is our meter stick, which is also the scale. If you drop the ball, for example, ball 1 in front of the meter stick, it'll actually interpret the ball to be moving faster than it should be, thus the higher acceleration. Conversely, if you drop the ball behind the meter stick, it'll have to travel a longer distance. But in actuality, these two balls should be dropped at the same, should have the same displacement. In the Pascal software, it actually isn't, so we have to account for that issue. Furthermore, we tested the tilt of the camera from forward and backwards to see if there was any glaring issues behind that. What we found with these trials is that almost all acceleration values were decreased consistently. So this is also another thing to note, and we did adjust for this in the experimental procedures. Furthermore, we tested camera angle with 20 degrees and 30 degree tilts. In actuality, when students are carrying out this experiment, you shouldn't have your phone tilted like this, but we would want to see the effects of this. Next slide. And so what we found from our tilted camera was that it positioned our video like this. When we calculated the acceleration due to gravity, we got a very low number of -9. We could actually fix this issue in Pasco by adjusting the scale to match with the vertical displacement. So throughout the trials, these were all the recorded data that we found. And here you can see the pitch forward and pitch back. Almost all the data were significantly low and consistently low. So that's actually to be expected. With the rotations, all the values were actually skewed as well. So what we learned from this is that we would want to drop the ball even with the meter stick. And also we would want all our equipment, including the camera, to be as vertical as possible. This will allow the motion of the ball to be viewed very perpendicular to, and then to be transferred onto the Pasco software, which will increase accuracy.
Equipment. To perform our experiment, you will need the following: a 4-side meter stick, a smartphone with slow motion camera ability, various balls, a balance to make the balls level, a stand, and Pascal capstone program. John Mark created a phone holder with clamps. If you're interested in purchasing this product, please email us at bcgproduct@gmail.com for this product. And also note that we are not liable for any phone damages used in our product. It's made with the material of wood, handcrafted. It's also created on Fusion 360, so it could be 3D printed, so that multiple groups can have use this product. Since it'll be let's say 4 groups, they can use that once instead of sharing one.
From the earlier results, we realized that the acceleration for any of the balls lighter than the golf ball was significantly affected by air resistance. So we recently added the part to calculate the air resistance and the drag coefficient. To the right, you see the top 2 equations show the equation of motion for the falling ball. And from by plotting right here, by plotting A versus V squared graph, you can find the slope, which will help us find the drag coefficient. So, yeah.
Volunteers. The team gathered 6 volunteers to test our experiment. With the use of brownies as motivation and as a reward, they are reading our procedures. We need to see if it's clear, our procedures. If there's any misunderstanding or confusion, we then later edited it to make it clear. They formed 2 groups of 3. In this image, they're using Pascal capstone software that's already downloaded on our computers to analyze the G-value. Results, the first group received the G-value to be -9.75 meters per second squared for the seal ball, and for ping pong ball, they received the G-value to be -8 meters per second squared. Also, the second group had more trouble analyzing the video with the software. Current task. We're current task editing the written lab manual entry. We actually just completed this this week. Eventually create new procedures and lab manual entry for projectile. And we would like to test our experiment with physics professors. We want to compare experienced and non-experienced people in physics to see if it's like easier for one group than the other group. And yeah. We're open to new interns. This is my last day for summer 1 internship, and I won't be here for summer 2. So the G project will need a new intern, and we also still need volunteers to test out the new edited lab manual. What's your blog? It's right here, and if you're interested, please email us.